What a week. So we had a series of failure from Anthropic. What's happening here? We had three major problems created by Anthropic by themselves. It's not like we did anything. So first of all, they leaked the Mythos or Mythos. The new model that I'm working on that is so powerful. That is this is the funny part. Okay, that is so powerful that they can't even give it to release directly. They need to give it first to the security firms that they can check that is not gonna hack system and so on. So powerful. We humans, we shouldn't get it. That's the idea. And some people are calling already, this is gonna be AGI and so on. The truth, my truth, okay, because I don't know. But we are far from AGI. So at the moment, we work with the Opus, the Anthropic model, okay, and we see an agent that has a really high level of knowledge and a really low level of intelligence, really low level. So we as a human, we need to cover this gap, okay, because the AI can't do it, but we have access through this model to this level of intelligence. So if we are able to leverage that intelligence, we can do amazing. Now people thinking, this is AGI, means it's here, okay, the intelligence is here. So from this level that is really low, honestly, this is, if you've been working with it, you know that is low, and that is something that we need to talk about this, okay. I mean, there's a lot of news, but I need to talk about this, okay, about intelligence. That this misunderstanding, this is also cultural, that the people that have knowledge are intelligent, okay, and those things are not connected. Having knowledge means having memory and having studied something, okay. It can be complex, therefore you have intelligence to understand that complexity, but having memory is the most important part of those kind of knowledge, okay. You remember them. Now you can use those knowledge in other scenarios, and that is intelligence, okay, is applied knowledge. Just knowledge is just knowing, that is not intelligent. So when you see these people have studied a lot, must be super intelligent. That thing is not connected. Okay, the two things are divided. The person that has a lot of knowledge doesn't mean that is intelligent. Has amazing memory that can remember all those knowledge, accumulate all those knowledge. Then what do you do with this knowledge? That is the intelligent part. So now that is the same thing for AI. AI, we know that has a really level of knowledge. Okay, it copy everybody. Okay, it just study each single human basically being captured, and therefore there's amazing knowledge. Amazing, it's like Jeredi because not each human, but you know what I mean. So the history, the best, the everything, the it's not even the best, okay, even the worst, but they've been captured. So in somehow the intelligence is there, the knowledge is there, and through that knowledge you can see intelligent patterns, but that is not intelligent because the AI model in reality moves really low. So now they're saying, this Mythos is going to be AGI, it's going to be here. So this gap, this jump, it's not true. Okay, it's not going to happen. So this is probably a little bit better. And I want to make also this understanding. They call it, it's so dangerous, it's so powerful that it's dangerous. Now, let's understand this. We are on this AI. Let's pretend that this AI is an airplane. Okay. Now we because they told us this is PhD level AI. Okay. PhD level intelligence. So we believed it. So we buy and we go inside this airplane, and now this airplane is the AI. Okay. We are there flying, and then we realize it's broken. Okay. That is broken. The AI doesn't work, doesn't follow its structure, it's broken. That is dangerous. Okay. Opus, just talking about Anthropic today, okay? So Opus, the top level, is a broken airplane. And now they say this new one is so much better, so much more powerful, that is dangerous. I mean, for me, a powerful airplane, something that actually can think and can work properly, is less dangerous because actually I'm using something that is safe, in the sense that is intelligent enough to operate at a really high level. So it's an airplane that is broken, it's much more dangerous than a fixed one. Okay, so the logic is broken. So my early feeling was, okay, this leak is fake. Okay, they leaked it because it's a good way to do marketing. But then they leaked something else. And then you think, okay, so they are really not good at all. Because the second thing that they leaked is the code that build the open cloud code. So the cloud code, the entire cloud code architecture is being leaked. Okay, so people managed to actually fork it and copy it. And this is insane. Okay, that it was one of the most important assets that they have. And they really look after it. They leaked it. That definitely was not wanted. While Mythos is a little bit smelly as a reality, it probably was, a way to do marketing. This cloud code leak, it's a mistake. So what's happening? They leaked this cloud code. Okay. So now we can see what is inside and how it works, how it operates. So there is a lot of learning that can be extracted from that. But there is something even more interesting, that some person, this person, got it and decided, okay, because I can't somehow use it or share it as it is, I'm gonna how do you say? Basically, look at the code and refactor the code in a different language. In this way, the copyright it doesn't exist anymore. So it does the exactly same thing, but with a different code. So the idea of the functionality cannot be copyrighted, but the code, how it's written, can be copyrighted. So if you rewrite the code in a different language, then there is no copyright anymore. So now we have this cloud code, open source in Python, and I believe is doing also another language, which I'm gonna. For every video that I do, I go a deep dive article. And that deep dive article, link in the description, you're gonna read more about what I'm saying here in this video, but also I'm gonna give you the link of this Python version of it, because you can use it. And so that is what's happening with with Anthropic. But it's not even finished there, because it's not enough. Okay, what they did, and I was one of those victims. Your account of CloudMax in a few days, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people had their token drained at a speed that was insane. So I will use it, and then like in half an hour I will use my allowance that I have for 5 hours of tokens. Unusable, basically. It was like really go really fast to try to achieve something within, in a few exchanges, and then we would stop. That was a nightmare. That created a lot of other problems, because I thought it was a bug in my system. I was burning tokens, so I had to, check everything. And more I was checking, more I was burning tokens. So the thing here is, they realized that it was a problem. It was their mistake, and they are fixing it. Hopefully, giving us back some of those tokens, but. Anyway, so Anthropic did just a mess, and they're trying to position themselves as this top company, AI company, and reality here is they're suffering like everybody else, because they're using AI to do their work. Okay, and the leak probably was not a human; it was just the AI that decided. Let's push, this is ready, let's push it, but they make it public. Okay, let's push it. And so they put it on the repo, on GitHub, public, and then the human realized after a while, probably because there was the rumors, everybody was sharing this thing, and they realized, maybe we did a mistake. And I know, because I experienced a similar thing with AI. And that is the thing, okay? And probably they're using this Mythos. And this Mythos, that's what it does. Okay, so we saw Mythos in action. It's so dangerous. It's so powerful that it's dangerous. Cannot be given. Okay, like this to human. And we saw why. Because it doesn't follow the basic instruction. Doesn't follow protocols, like it did in Opus. Anyway, that is frustration. Of course, there's a lot of frustration going on here. But this is what is happening with Anthropic. I'm looking down because I got a list of things that I want to talk. Because in reality, there is a few things that we need to really go more deeper, because those are the facts. But what does it mean for us? Okay, what does it mean for us? What we are seeing is the cost of token become in an era where we start using more and more and more. It started to shape the environment, in the sense we see that it's easy to access lower intelligent and low speed. Okay, that is in somehow easy and everybody can afford that part. What is become more expensive is speed and high level of intelligence. That is create two ways of working. How we fix the problem is through architecture. Okay, with the proper architecture, we can use this speed and this high level thinking in the minimum amount of scenarios, where we can leverage instead the most cheap, the most lower one. So think about this. If we need to do a software, we design this architecture, and this doesn't require speed, it requires high thinking. So we do a high thinking process of designing the architecture, and in that part the human needs to be part of it. Okay, because the AI, again, knowledge, intelligence. Okay, so has the knowledge. If we work with AI, we can get this knowledge, but we need to design the architecture. We need to have our intuition, our imagination to create something new, because this is things that have never been done before. So AI has no idea how to build this new AI architecture. So we as a human, we need to do it. So we need to be in the loop, in this architecting the thing. But then it's about dividing all the process, all the steps in a smaller, easy part. And a lot of those smaller, easy parts are in reality nothing new. We refactor, we reuse the logic, the code that we've been building over the last whatever amount of years. Okay, so if we use this system, then we use a swarm of AI that works in parallel on dealing with all of this. And Cloud Code has this, okay, has this ability that we couldn't access. Now we have it. Okay, now we have it. We need to improve, because in reality it's not enough, because that one has been built to work specifically for with their models, but also in with their philosophy. Okay, we have a different philosophy. We have a philosophy of augmentatism, is called, and the point here is not to replace human, but to augment human. Augmenting means change the idea of going from be completely autonomous. Okay, that is the goal of those corporations, replace human at any jobs, to be actually a human that has the work with AI and get augmented by this AI. So my thinking here is we need one single AI that we can trust. Okay, that is the interface that we need. I want to talk with one AI, okay, that I can trust. Then that AI manage the whole thing, manage the whole architecture, the hardware, the AI agents, the softwares, everything. Okay, that's how I want to build. So if we create the correct architecture, we can have this, we can achieve this. Now, because of this code that open code get leaked, now we can learn from that company. Okay, and there is a lot of learning. Plus, there has been a open Claude update. Okay, it just came out last night. What this Open Claude update does is something amazing. Okay, there is again link in the description to understand going deep into the details of what we are getting from this update. But for us, what it means now, this is much more secure. It needs to have the human approval for a lot of steps. In reality, even far too many steps. But they added this architecture where now there is approval system. What it means now, if we make this intelligent and we connect to a proper architecture, now the architecture with that I'm building, for those that are new, I've been building a It's called the Resonant OS. Is a operation system that runs on top of OpenClaw. It gives a lot of other functionality, including the way to control the environment. Okay, it's a kind of a high-level harness within the harness of OpenClaw. So now I can, with Resonant OS, it's possible to design specific protocols, and AI needs to follow those protocols. This is not just for coding; it's also for thinking, reasoning, and a protocol, for example, to create whatever project you're working on. Okay, so the idea of giving a series of steps where the AI need to go through those steps to be sure, and you can be sure that those steps are being used by AI. It's amazing. Now, if we connect to the OpenClaw new system that require for the system itself to be allowed by human, but we delegate it to the infrastructure. Now we have an even more solid way to control what is happening with AI. So this is really strong. And as we speak, my AI is working. So I keep receiving text message and say, done, done, done. Hopefully it's done, but it's keeping implementing this functionality within the Resonant OS already. Which this next level basically of approval behavior, it's beautiful. Because before I was building outside the OpenClaw, because OpenClaw didn't have it. So I was building something like this, but it's a much higher level because there is a logic behind. What OpenClaw created is a low-level approval behavior system. Now, the Resonant OS can connect to this behavior and have even much better control because it's native within OpenClaw. So there is a lot of frustration from Token Burn, but it's also a lot of good news. What is becoming clear? Okay, the open source community is doing an amazing job, and now what we saw inside the Claude code is that Anthropic, with a lot of other companies, are trying to implement the same thing that are present inside OpenClaw. Okay, communicating through the phone, more autonomous, and a lot of other things. Okay, the cron jobs, the heartbeat, all these functionality that are native, okay, they came from OpenClaw. So OpenClaw, open source, corporation are copying it. Now the corporation can't even keep the secret, even that is their jobs. They open source, then they didn't open source, but they leaked the code of Claude code. Now, basically, some amazing individual, what he did, he created a Python version, and now it's open source. Now we have the open source version of Claude code, which is beautiful. Which is beautiful. It's not like I don't know how to explain this because it's not like I'm against the corporation. Okay, it's not the idea, but I'm against some mentality, some way of doing business. The idea that those models have been trained on humans, history, and human content, which belongs to all of us as a humans. Okay, but they use it, and they use it without permission. And now they say, okay, I use it, now it's mine. What do you mean it's yours? It should be the content, the intelligence comes from human. You work with it, and the output is still belong to humans. That's for me. It's really simple. So those model should be part of human ownership. Okay, this is humanity. It's not owned by a corporation. This is the idea of own the AI. Okay, building an AI that is owned by individual, by corporation. That is wrong. Okay, that is, for me, it's completely wrong. Those models everything should be open source. They belong to us. This is our human history, and they should be ours. And that would create a much, much better environment. Okay, acceleration on development, and the money can come from other things. Okay, it's not about the model, it's not about the AI. I mean, to me, it's extremely clear. It's just a wrong business model applied to something that it belongs to everybody. And if not, if those people, because they connect to this law of copyright. Okay, some books are so old that the copyright law doesn't affect them anymore, so we can do whatever we want. Okay, because we have a law. Some government wrote this law, and now this is what we need to follow. And when they break the law, like they copy modern stuff, okay, they steal your data from your personal website and so on, then they say, yeah, okay, we did it, we pay a fine, now it's all sorted, we paid a fine. That is done. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, it's unfair, especially for those artists, because it's a different thing. Okay, they copied a document, a little things, a technical document. Even the technical knowledge, I mean, knowledge should be, from my point of view, open to everybody. So if they copied some knowledge, okay, maybe unfair, you can be upset, but they share the knowledge in somehow. But when they copy art, that is different. That is a different thing. That is, they're not even copying art. They're copying the human DNA of the creative DNA, which is something different. Okay, they devalue the human creative DNA. So I don't want to go into details because I think this video is long enough. But I'm going to explain really quickly because now I mentioned and now you need to know this. So to make it simple, let's think about the music. Okay, so there is now AI that can make music as similar as if it was coming from a really famous artist. How does it work? So the AI doesn't store the records, okay? It doesn't have the music from the artist, but it learned how the artists basically think, okay? How the artists create. So they've stolen the creative DNA from the artist, and now they can make unlimited music that sounds like the artist. That is the thing, okay? So the problem here is there are two things. The artist is, for the artist, their creative identity is everything. That is their only thing that they can monetize. They can create songs out of it and so on. So, and the scarcity of the amount of those songs give those songs value. Okay, and the fact that those songs come from their specific life, okay, they are connected to a specific way of living, let's say, experience and so on, then that can resonate with a lot of other people. Now, with AI, you can, first of all, create unlimited tracks that sounds like these artists. So the value of that limited item that the artist was creating now is destroyed because there is so many tracks. Second, you can make a track that sounds like the artist but with different kind of narratives, and therefore the narratives now, the unique point of view of the creative person, is being basically overwhelmed by all this noise around. So now the message is not clear anymore, and the style is lost value. It's just crazy. And then remember this thing: by law, this AI company can do it. By law, it's legal to do it because they're not using their data. Okay, they're not using the songs. There's nothing inside the AI that looks like their album. There's only how the system can recreate that specific creative DNA of the artist. Now, it's not just one artist, millions of them, so you can do, you can do everything with this. So, in somehow, the business model is broken. But if the AI was open source, now belongs to all of us. So there is still something to clarify there. But nevertheless, now their reality is not taken from a corporation. Okay, it's belong to all of us as a humans. That is already much better scenario. For the musician, there is a solution, and I'm not going to explain now. Is the Resonant DAO? Is a new, completely new kind of a community, society, a community of community, which has a completely new business model. Not going to explain, but you can find the link below. I'm gonna share it. So you can read about the new economic system where artists actually can thrive, even within that kind of this kind of new environment. So I'm gonna stop here because I shared a lot. Every today, okay, Wednesday and Thursday, we have a community call where we are gonna discuss this. What I'm talking about is a new economic system about Resonant OS. This. Operation system for OpenClaw, and we are building this community together. There are over 650 people on Discord, and over 1,050 on what's the name on Substack, the newsletter, where you will see the link below and get this deep dive article. So thanks for staying to the end. Join the community, like and subscribe, and see you to the next. Watch the next video. Ciao.